most teams down 3-0, the game's done. And, I think what I'm proud of is the group refused to lose. And, with 25 minutes to go, I think it was, down 3-0, we clawed 3 goals back and, took a point. Obviously disappointed in the 3 defensive plays. It was a game where, based on their tactics, they were looking to sit in and then counter us. And thought we came out in a really good way, a positive way with the ball, but then we gave away the first 2 real chances they had in transition. So that part wasn't good enough. And then obviously the third goal, we have to do better. For me, it's our rest defense. When we're looking to score and break a team down, we have to have a better shape and rest defense where we're shoved onto guys. So now when we lose it, we have better positioning to seal the play off and to kill the counterattacks. We did talk about that at halftime and made that adjustment. I thought it was much better in the second half. They had the one chance the whole half, and it's in the back of the net. So for sure that part of it, will be something we need to reflect on and look at. But, for me, the story is the comeback. And, I've been in this league now, I guess, 400 games, someone told me. And I've never had a team come back from 3 goals down to get a point. And I think they were saying that it's been at least 15 or 16 years that this club's done that or more, because they went back to 2010 and didn't see up to that point any team that had done that. So it's an unbelievable thing to be able to do, and it takes a resilient team. It takes a team that's mentally tough, and it's amazing. And I think it could be a turning point for us for sure.
Go down the road.
Maxi Rudy comes in, he starts as a number 9, feels like he was higher up the field, getting in the box. I feel like you needed a striker to be in the box a little bit more. Just building on that, are you surprised that Carlos Hill wasn't an all-star after a performance like tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I'm shocked that Carlos is not an all-star. I think it's a travesty, honestly. How he doesn't get picked is strange. Maybe Nico. I was in that role, so I don't want to judge him, but, he's in the other conference, so he's not seeing probably as many of the games that we're playing and that Carlos is playing. But I did have a chat with him, and he said he liked him before he made his decision. And so for sure there'll be an edge, with Carlos the rest of the year to show everybody. And we do play Austin in a couple weeks. So, but at the end of the day, again, it's an unbelievable accomplishment to be able to do that. And, it just shows how resilient you are. And, it's another point. And we stopped the bleeding a little bit, and it's not a loss. And we'll continue to get better and look at the film. And, I'll look at my decisions to start the game with guys for sure. Might have got that wrong. I'm always reflecting on that. But we'll use this as hopefully a momentum turner.
Go Julian, and then Sam.
Yeah, Coach, two-parter, but first, in the time of Gillette Stadium, which goes back to 2002, there's never been a 3-goal comeback. And we're checking to see if it happened since '96. But I guess part one of the question is, how do you sort of make it so that it's not like a flash in the pan and just a really, really great night, and that you allow it to be that building block? And then 2, you had a lot of the defensive players play a big, big role in getting those 2 goals and forcing things. So when you look at players, kind of being two-way players, someone like Tanner Beeson, what does that say about sort of the well-roundedness of the squad when push comes to shove and in moments like you had tonight?
Yeah, I think how we can make, to respond to your first question, how we can make this a building block is do what we always do. Look at the film, reflect where we can be better, but also, there's a lot of positives today, and we got punished on 3 transitions. But other than that, there was a lot of positive play today, a lot of positive play, and we scored 3 goals. Obviously, the first one was a bit fortunate, but we can build off that aggressive mentality. And you know, we didn't change into a 4-2-3-1, so we had been doing that to chase games, and you know, we just felt the shape we were playing was the right one. But we just got more aggressive in the shape. We pushed Tanner on. We obviously put Luka as the left wing back and left him high. We left Eli high. We left Yusuf high. So for me, it's a blueprint of how we can be just a bit more aggressive at times in, you know, this 3-4-1-2 to pin the opponent back. And you saw in the latter stage of the game when we were more aggressive pinning them back, then they had no transitions. And I think that's the lesson, you know, today is we need to be more aggressive in dictating the game and pinning the opponent back, which allows now us to force them deeper and makes it easier when we lose the ball.
Go to Sam, and then to Caleb.
Caleb, I guess, I don't know if you happen to have any update on Thomas Shankly, obviously coming out early, but also too, just how do you feel Luka going before and kind of replacing him in that?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't talked to the trainer yet, but it seemed like a groin. You know, so, you know, there were still a lot of challenges today with the subs we had. Obviously, we had to take Leo out. I would prefer to keep him in. They wanted 45 out of him. We played him 65, so we played him as long as we could, you know, and probably more than we should have, to be honest with you. It was a bit of a risk. So that was a challenge. And then, you know, then Chocolate goes out. So, you know, we put in Maxi and Luka and Luis Diaz, and you know, I thought Luka up top initially, but then as a left wing back was very interesting because he was basically playing a left wing back in the end, and Luis was up top. So, you know, I think, you know, it gives us a little bit of a formula, right, at the very least to chase a game.
Now, Coach, on Wednesday after the press conference, you noted that a lot of players were chomping at the bit to get back into the starting 11. Obviously, you made 4 changes going into this match. Kind of just, what was your overall perspective on players like Wyatt Onsberg, players like Keegan Hughes, and then also you have Matt coming back into the lineup as well, and just kind of how you thought they played overall, and how healthy it is to have players that obviously want to chomp at the bit and get back in the 11.
Yeah, you know, I made quite a few changes. It wasn't, you know, to punish guys. It was because I trust them. I trust my squad and my bench. And I just felt with the break that we had, which is it's really created a very strange rhythm for us over the last 3 weeks. Because if you remember, we had a big break with a bye week, and then we had, you know, Montreal, and then we had another big break. And so there's been very little rhythm, and we probably we've lost a little sharpness, you know, and probably a little fitness too. So, you know, I felt playing more of the same guys, you know, 2 games in 4 days would have been difficult with the long break we had. And, you know, Wyatt had done well, and Keegan had done well. I thought Keegan was excellent in the Montreal game. And so we made that move, and, you know, Brandon's been, you know, knocking on the door. So, you know, obviously I have to reflect now that we have a decision to make on Portland, Miami, and then Austin, how I'm going to approach the 3 games in a week, and, you know, how I approach the front end and obviously the back 2 games. But, you know, I thought Keegan did really well. Obviously maybe on the 3rd goal he needs to be a little more aggressive. I think Wyatt, you know, on maybe the 2nd goal I think it was. But, you know, in the end, you know, it's not their fault we lost, but I do think tactically our positioning wasn't good enough. You know, we were far too deep in the build, which meant we were far too deep when we lost the ball.
Let's go to Hayden and then Frank.
You mentioned Campagna and kind of going actually beyond what maybe the minutes thing was for him tonight. And I know he's still coming back from an injury. What more kind of do you need to see from him? Obviously, he is literally central to probably the plans of the team.
Yeah. He just needs time. You know, he's been injured, I think, 3 times now this year. And so we just need him to, you know, get a run of games. And, you know, we're not going to be able to play him all 3 this next week. So we got to be smart, you know, with how we use him. And you know, we can't have another re-injury. So we just need to get him to run a game so he can get confident and then get a chemistry with everybody. Thought he had some good moments today. I did think early in the game, you know, we got a ton of crosses from Brandon and Peyton, and I still think there were times we could have been more aggressive, attacking the ball, not waiting for it. So we'll look at that. But, you know, Leo just needs time. He needs time to build his fitness, time to gain his confidence and his form.